Yes, yes, yes. This is a Castworthy podcast, and we are back. 2/3 of us at the moment. It is, I don't even know today's date. Sunday, May
Man,
18th. I am Big Steve, aka Hello, my name's Steve on the Instagram machine. Joined today by EJ Stu, the sophisticated savage. EJ, your camera looks like it's frozen, bro. Um, Not sure where VP is, but he's probably going to pop in at some point here to join us. We're back after a week off. Took Mother's Day off. Hopefully, all the mothers had a great Mother's Day and, you know, got to relax and chill for a bit. And got anything that you wanted and desired out of your Mother's Day. Uh, Ready to kick off the summer. Memorial Day is on its way, but we've been out for 2 weeks. EJ, what you been up to?
same old, man. Just working, you know, handling business. Nothing new, nothing eventful.
No, you haven't been. Have you been watching any sports at all?
Of course, watch my New York Knickerbockers close out the series. Beat down on Boston.
Beat down on Boston, huh? The
Yes, sir.
Beantown beatdown.
Yes, sir.
Beantown beatdown. All right. Well, we have a guest here today who doesn't normally join us, but I'm sure he's feeling bored, froggy, and he wants to come talk about his Sixers third pick or something like that. Some foolishness. Maybe he wants to talk about the Cowboys picking up George Pickens and becoming, the premier team of the NFC East. But we have Senor E, the
Oh my
bookkeeper
gosh.
himself, who is here with us today in the flesh. EJ, you got to redo your camera, bro. You are frozen. Your face hasn't moved since we got on. Maybe just leave the stage and come back in, or maybe it's my shit.
EJ's
I think it's
screen
you.
is black on my end.
Yeah, you gotta go ahead and pop out and pop. Here, let's do that. Boom. Yeah, you're black, EJ. Well, we knew you were black, but E, what's up, bro?
Nothing much. It's out here in these streets.
Are you in these streets?
I did a couple protests. I've been out there in the streets.
Oh, you did do the one downtown, right?
Yeah.
Anything else recent?
Uh,
There you go.
yeah. I mean, it's congratulations, EJ, for making the next round. I hope you lose. I hope you get
Eastern.
swept. Go Pacers. That was like a lose-lose
Ew,
situation there,
that is
wasn't it?
disgusting.
That's nasty. That's the lowest of low. The lowest of low. Not even
Go
people from
Pacers is
Indiana.
No, it comes
that
from
might be the
People from
Texas
nastiest thing you've
Indiana.
ever said.
love and hate.
I got the Knicks going to the championship. I don't know how you guys feel about it. I don't know. I mean, but then again, I also said that Indy was out first round, so the Pacers are playing great basketball right now. Tyrese Halliburton clearly took it personal. Two things that happened: one, Steve Kerr not playing him in the Olympics, and and two, the league voting that he was the most overrated player in the league. 13 votes of NBA players out of something like 24 or something like that called him the most overrated, and he's clearly taking it personal.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know how that translates to production against the Knicks. The problem with the Knicks, I think, though, is you guys you have great defense sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like your defense is phenomenal sometimes, but there's also times where you just allow teams to go crazy for, and that's why you had to come back from down 20 on Boston twice. Now, of course, having Jalen Brunson, who was the clutch player of the year, OG Anunoby, who actually plays the same type of ball in the clutch. Like these guys have that gene. And your boy Josh Hart, who's always at 100, dude does not slow down ever, no matter what. Got his fucking eye busted and came back out and ran the ball up and down the court with reckless intent every single play. I think that plays into the type of ball you guys are playing, and so far the fatigue hasn't hurt you. But the Pacers team is so deep, man, and I don't know what the Eastern Conference Finals is going to look like from that standpoint because they have such young guys. How do you feel about it going into it, EJ?
I think it's actually the opposite in that I think our defense plays well. It's just Tibbs does not have any offensive creativity. So when things get tough and all they do is throw the ball to Jalen, and when teams key in on that, and you force other people to step up offensively, and Tibbs doesn't focus on that, the game gets away from you because now every possession you have, it's a miss or it's a turnover, and then defense is only going to be good for so long, and a team's going to beat you. Um, but I think last year we didn't really get to see what these two teams look like, even though the Pacers advanced. We didn't have Jalen Brunson and we didn't have Mitch. So, it'll be interesting to see. I think it's good momentum for them coming off this win. So the first two games will be in New York. So that'll be a good thing. Even though they played better on the road these past two playoff series. So you never know what you're going to get. I mean, I still don't trust Tom Thibodeau. They're up 34 last night, or the night before rather, and they're up 34, and he's still playing these guys with 6 minutes to go.
Gotta lock it in, bro. You gotta be 100%.
How you feel about Cat? Man, I think the series is going to depend on him. He's got to get in the paint. He's been doing the stuff I've been hollering about Embiid, like catching the ball outside the paint, too much up near the 3-point line and stuff like that. He doesn't have anyone that can hold him on the Pacers if he plays down low. That's a nice piece of advantage they have. They just got to take advantage of it.
That's the problem. His zesty ass wants somebody to hold him. He's so zesty, yo. Even his mannerisms when he throws his passes and stuff. Like, I like Cat, yo, but he is zesty. Oh man.
McBride too. McBride is clutch off the bench, man. He is a dagger. I think he's about as clutch as Brunson is, man. That boy just as soon as he catches the ball
when he plays. When he gets minutes, I mean, because again, this guy, I don't know, and he's got to do a better job of bringing Mitch in the game a little earlier. Sometimes, I don't know. It's going to be a chess match. We're going to see what happens. I like the way this team is playing. I like how they looked the other day, so I'm not mad about that at all. And first time in 25 years that they made it to Eastern Conference Finals, so you gotta be happy about that. But they got a long road ahead, so we'll see.
Oh, is that why the fans are acting up?
Of course.
Yo, y'all are nasty, yo. If somebody would have threw two bags of garbage on me, yo, in the street is a problem.
Talk about Philly fans. And y'all need to grease the poles too, man. Get out of here, man. Y'all had people up on top of signs and stuff in Madison Square Garden.
Yo, crazy. I don't even know how he got on top of that LED
how is he
TV.
Getting down, man? How is that guy getting down?
And that. Mm-hmm. I think to answer your question though, E, I mean the Pacers do have Miles Turner and Pascal Siakam. Siakam's a little undersized for Cat, but Turner can probably bang with him, and do what needs to be done. I don't know that. I mean, again, Cat is when he's on, he's the best. The problem is Cat thinks he's like that Saint Bernard dog that thinks he's a lap dog. Like as big as he is, and he want to hang out at the 3-point line all the time, dog. Like he's never in the paint. You are that big and that capable of being dominant on the boards. Why are you hanging out on the 3-point line when you got other guys who are shooters? It's not like the team is, hungry for shooters. These other guys can shoot. Like Josh Hart is more in the paint than Big Cat. And that to me, like against this team that's coming up, these guys don't shoot all threes. They like to attack the paint. You're going to need this guy to get down there a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think offensively, we're gonna need OG and Mikal Bridges to be consistent. You know, when Mikal Bridges scores and
Yeah.
OG Anunoby scores, this team wins. Um, I'm not worried about them so much defensively. I think OG versus Pascal is a battle that we've seen all year. We're going to continue to see it. You know, they're former teammates. I feel like Pascal is the big brother, OG little brother kind of thing. So that matchup is going to be key. You're going to have to probably put Mikal Bridges on Halliburton and
Hmm.
hope that Halliburton shows up to be the guy he's been, when it counts, the missing in action. So,
Right.
you got to find a way to neutralize those two guys. Outside of that, I don't really know what else they would do to the Knicks offensively. But again, if the Knicks aren't consistent at scoring, it becomes a long night. So they've got to stay consistent at scoring.
Yeah. The kid you got to worry about is Nemhart. I don't know where that kid came from, yo, but all season that dude has been absolute clutch. And when these guys start to slow down a little bit everywhere else, he's putting up 26 points, 24 points. Like he's finding ways to get it done. Same thing, Benedict Mathurin coming off the bench, like he's figuring stuff out. This team is just, it's a very deep team. And the good thing, I guess, is that you guys finally did have a little bit of time between the last series and when this next series starts, so you guys can probably rest up a bit. But I have to assume that fatigue is going to play a part because those guys are going to always have Halliburton's going to have fresh legs, Siakam's going to have fresh legs all the time because their coach believes in their bench and he believes in spreading those minutes out. And you got your guys game 1-2, they might be okay. By the time you start to get into those later games, they're going to start to slow down in those late quarters. And Tibbs is going to have to figure that out. He's going to have to figure that out for sure. On the other side, we have today Denver and OKC game 7.
Yeah.
The best 2 words or the best phrase in sports, game 7. I love game 7s, yo. I do. I really do. This one is in OKC. They're saying Aaron Gordon is potentially going to be out, highly likely. I think he's doubtful due to a hamstring injury, which I think is going to be, a problem for them. How do you guys feel about today's game?
I like that it's at 3:30.
Word.
Honestly, I'm on vacation, so it doesn't matter to me. But you know what I mean? Like, I
You're
like the
always
fact
on
that it's in the middle of
vacation.
it. I'm not always on vacation, but well, yeah, I'm always on vacation. The
Yeah.
But it's the game at 3:30. I like it. I'm not gonna fall asleep. I've been like missing so many freaking fourth quarters of games in these series, especially the West Coast games. So um, I like the matchup. I think I think that it's weird to me. Like SGA, this kid's just like he's kind of scrappy. He doesn't look like the most athletic basketball player out there. It doesn't look like he should be like dominating games, but that guy could get to any spot. He's not afraid of the mid jump, short range shot and everything like that. So he's kind of refreshing. I don't get to see that many OKC games, so I watched a lot more of him in the playoffs. But I'm starting to like that kid and see why he's leading that team. But Jokic, he just has eyes in the back of his head. He's just like a big, like Magic Johnson, basically out there.
Yep.
He's nasty, man. He finds everyone and gives them the ball where they don't really need to do anything except for turn around and shoot, maybe take one step and shoot. And that's in today's game where you've got maybe 1 or 2 people on any squad out there out of the 5 that doesn't like to play defense. He's going to find an open person and get you a bucket or a foul shot. So I kind of like Denver to win today. I think that they've been there. I think that their leader is more experienced, is going to put their players in better position to win than SGA will. I could see SGA if they frustrate him. He's got to prove it. Jokic has proven it before, so I'd put my money on Denver.
It's a
I
pretty
love
damn
that
good
kid's game.
assessment. Pretty
I
damn
love
good
his game,
assessment.
man.
SGA.
I don't want
Yeah.
Denver to win. Don't get me wrong, but I think they're gonna pull it out.
So I think SGA, he reminds me, he's undersized. He reminds me of of a Allen Iverson without all the crazy handle. Like he can do it, he just doesn't do it every game like Allen Iverson. He's just undersized, but you never think he's gonna miss. Like he's one of those. Remember when LeBron, when he first came in the league, and he was on Cleveland, and he would play against the Magic in the playoffs. And I'm a Magic fan, so I remember those playoff games where there was 2 seconds left, and LeBron is shooting it from half court to try and tie the game, and people really thought that was going because you thought he was never gonna miss. And I think you got that same feeling with Shea. Like this kid he's something else, man. He shoots something like 70% from the field. He's averaging like 32 points on the season. Like he's just, I mean, and it's quiet because the rest of the team is good. Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, these guys get it done. Isaiah Hartenstein, which the Knicks are probably missing him a little bit right now, but that's going to be where I think they have to slow down Jokic, right? They can't let Jokic get 14 boards. And last game, Christian Brown got 11 boards. He went 23 and 11. Like you can allow Jamal Murray to get off, which is EJ's man's, and I think he's going to get off today. Pause. And he's going to have to, especially if Gordon's not playing. But you can allow those two, Jokic and Murray, to get off. You can't let a Christian Brown put up 30 on you or 20 on you.
What's Porter's line been like? He's been low this series.
Been
Right?
looking terrible. I was just gonna say that I don't think anybody in Denver. I don't think outside. It's gonna be a two-man game today. With Murray and Jokic, because Porter has been non-existent. Gordon going down is gonna hurt him severely because he's been putting up great buckets. He's been playing great defense. And SGA, for the record, Steve, SGA 6'6", but he looks like he just plays.
Maybe because he's just skinny as shit.
Yeah, but to E's point, I didn't watch much of him this year, but I mean, man, this kid cannot be stopped if he's on point. So, but the rest of that team, Hartenstein, Holmgren's gonna have to get a little tougher. Jokic has been blocking his shots. He's not been getting off. They got to find different ways for that supporting cast to get out there and do something. And I'm telling you, I mean, Denver really doesn't have a third option right now at this point leading into this game. It's looking like a two-man show. So this is going to be the time where OKC's going to have to come out hot. Everybody's going to have to get involved, and they're going to have to take it to them early, take the game away.
Yeah, I think one of these two guys or one of these two teams are going to. Well, I don't know, man. Minnesota looks good. If either one of these, which one of these teams do you think matches up better with Minnesota?
OKC, I think matches up better with Minnesota. I think they've got, because Minnesota's pretty young too, right? So I just think that they can kind of stay in front of Anthony. But I don't know. That is a good question. I don't know who's Minnesota's big. Is that what's his name? French dude.
Gobert.
Yeah.
Rudy. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. He's a dirty player too, man. It's like,
he gets cooked by Jokic every time, yo.
Yeah, he's a dirty player. So I think they won OKC then, but
yeah,
I think that he could probably handle Holmgren, and Hartenstein's coming off the bench, right? But,
no, he's been starting. But but they've been splitting his minutes with Jalen Williams the other Jalen, light-skinned Jalen. Mm-hmm. Pretty consistent. Jalen's playing about 15 minutes a game. Hartenstein's playing about 25 a game.
Yeah, I think that Minnesota OKC would be a good matchup. I would like to see that.
that Minnesota team, Anthony Edwards is on another level right now.
Mhm.
And Julius Randle, he gives you at least 20 points, some rebounds, and some toughness. It's going to be a hell of a series, whoever it is. I think just for the experience and the roster, I think Denver would match up a little better. But I mean, the health of Aaron Gordon, a hamstring is a tricky thing. So I mean, if this guy isn't healthy at all, I don't know that anyone will really have anything from Minnesota on Denver's team. So I think right now you got to think OKC is probably the better matchup for Minnesota going forward. I mean to match up better rather.
I'm gonna look forward to the finals. I think the Knicks are gonna win. Of the three teams that are left in the West, wait. Let me rewind. I think
Whoa.
you might have read that the way I thought, the way I didn't mean it. I didn't mean I don't think the Knicks are going to win the finals. I think the Knicks are going to win the Eastern Conference Finals. That was what that statement meant. But of the three that are left in the West, as a Knicks fan, EJ, which one do you want? Because all three of them, I think, are going to be a problem, one way or another.
Yeah, I mean, going back to Aaron Gordon's health, and shout out to my boy Shante for joining us. Going back to the health thing, if Denver gets out of here, I mean, I feel like because of the style of play and their half court team, that might be an opportunity for us. But like you said, I don't know who you want to really play. I mean, maybe Minnesota, where I could maybe get a Julius Randle, might go off the hinges, back in the garden, trying to prove, do too much. Maybe, a young Anthony Edwards, maybe. I say that might be the easiest of the three, maybe. But I mean, sheesh, it's lethal over there.
You don't want to see boy Randolph go up against his old team. Is he getting booed? Is he getting booed Madison Square Garden or
Of course, of course,
Yeah, he's getting booed. He's
of
getting
course.
booed, no question. Like
scumbag?
it's not like Russ who did some work for OKC, and so when he popped up over there, they applauded him until he got into a little scuffle. Then they booed him a little bit, but like Julius Randle, the dude was always hurt. Like the Knicks had such high hopes for this guy,
The
and
thumbs down situation.
yeah, he just it's bad. It's bad business. If it is Minnesota, New York in the finals, believe every time he touches the ball, they booing in New York.
And that might be, like Ashante saying he prefers Minnesota. That might be, if that was to happen, that might be the best route because you can almost bet money that Julius Randle he's gonna do something. He's
Chip on
gonna
his
choke.
shoulder.
Yeah, he's gonna do too much. He's gonna change it up. You gotta imagine that. And the other problem, his biggest weakness is the Knicks wing defender's best strategy. He likes to try to dribble, thinking he's a point guard. So him putting it on the floor, that's a win for the Knicks.
The league want that. The league wants Minnesota, New York because that gives you the Karl Anthony Towns narrative. That gives you the Julius Randle narrative. You still continue to have a really big market in the finals being New York. Like the league absolutely wants Minnesota and New York. It has to be. Like no one, let me take that back. I'm not saying no one's going to watch. You're going to have much lower ratings if it's Indy and anybody. It doesn't matter any one of those three teams. None of them are big markets. New York is really the only big market left in the playoffs today. So if I'm the league, that's probably what I'm hoping for as well.
Yeah.
And so to the chat's point, if OKC gets there, you have the Hartenstein and the Knicks, just the Knicks trade in general, which also you get that trade talk with Minnesota because of DiVincenzo. And they've already been talking about it. You got the DiVincenzo, their little, Vanderbilt shit that they had going on, like
Villanova.
Villanova rather. I knew it was a V. It's
Shout out to the Pope.
there's a lot of narratives there for Minnesota, New York. I do think that New York comes out, and Minnesota's going to be a tough out for either one of those, Denver or OKC. Denver is tired, and you can tell they're tired. These guys they're not old, but they're older than Minnesota, older than OKC. And you can tell like Jamal Murray's legs aren't under him as much. They're playing the game like the Knicks with the shortened benches where OKC is stretching, right? OKC played damn near their whole team last game. Of course, 3 of them only played 1 minute, but even down to, let's see, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They had a 10-man rotation versus Denver, who had like a 7-man rotation last game. Of course, Denver was on, it was winner go home. So of course you're going to shorten up. But I think both teams today, like Oklahoma City, their coach has to understand that you can't play Isaiah Joe and Aaron Wiggins, Carson Wallace, like in this game. This has to be your studs, and they got to get it done. Otherwise, you're playing against a killer in Jokic and Jamal Murray. To your point last year, EJ, when this kid gets going, man, he's unstoppable. He's one of the best point guards in the league when he gets going.
Yep, yep. But Aaron Gordon being out is going to be a major blow for them. And Denver played well this last game, but even down the stretch, SGA kind of effortlessly looked like he was going to bring them back. And it took a lot out of them to win that game 6. So if you're OKC, the only thing I can see getting against them might be the youth and the moment being too big. But if you're OKC, you come out hot at home in this game 7, you gotta put these boys down. Gotta put them down.
Yeah, I'm watching for some Dario Saric if Aaron Gordon is out from Denver. I think you got to use that guy for length on Chet, and just hopefully he can hold down a little bit. What else is going on, man? Pickens.
George Pickens. Did you see the?
We didn't get to talk
you
about
saw
that
whole Michael Parsons out there golfing.
Yeah,
talking about his favorite team, CD Lamb.
Hey, you got to respond to the questions, right? You got to respond to the questions. Look, man, fuck the Eagles. I mean, right. Jalen Hurts is my second favorite quarterback in the league today, behind Dak, just because he didn't go to the White House. So I like Jalen Hurts. I'm not gonna down talk him. I'm gonna try not to down talk him for this whole season. But the Eagles are still bums.
So what do you got? What's your you got Lamb, you got Pickens now. Who's your third? You still got Cooks?
No, Tolbert. Jalen Tolbert is our 3. And then our tight end. You know who our tight end is. We're not gonna play this game. Listen.
I still don't like. So Pickens is just speedy. I mean, I don't want to say he's a one-trick pony, but he's got a tree. He can take the top off. And CD Lamb, he just put him in the slot, man. He's just money in the slot. I like him more as a slot receiver. I know he can do a one and anything like that, but I like to see CD and moving in the slot, in motion. And I think I'm hoping. See, here's the thing. None of this matters. Pickens doesn't matter. None of our draft picks matter. How good Dak plays doesn't matter if we don't know what our scheme is going to look like, because we got a whole new coaching staff. We had a dinosaur offense for the last X amount of years. So now we got a team that has to adjust to a first-time head coach and whatever that's going to look like, right? And I'm hoping that we get younger. I'm hoping that we get some pre-snap motion like the rest of these teams are doing. You guys are good at it. The Bills are great at it. Like, there's teams that are using that pre-snap motion. Kansas City out the ass. Like, and that's where the game is today, because you throw the defense off. You can tell whether they're in man or zone based on the different movements and shit like that, right? So hopefully our offense gets a little younger as far as the play call. And if so, I think we have a great chance. Yeah, especially week 1. It is kind of, what you mentioned could actually be an asset early in the year, because, the Eagles it's going to be like a brand new team to them, even though they are familiar with some of the players. Whole scheme is going to be different. There's no book out on what you guys are going to run. So you can totally surprise us. that team's just going to be feeling good and partying and stuff when we drop the banner down. That's all I'm there for. I just want to watch the banner go down and watch you guys like look at it. So I don't care you win that game or not, man. We'll see you in Dallas later in the year. We'll give you that first week.
EJ, you hear him copping already? You hear him copping out already? You already know what time it is.
Look, the Eagles are a 2-2 team at the beginning of the year. They don't play preseason. They're so freaking slow at the start of the year for not like having reps and stuff with the starters. It's stupid. It's the same stuff every year. It's 2-2, 2-2, 2-2. Or if they go like 3-1, it's like they barely win. Like even last year,
are America's
barely
team.
beat Green Bay, barely lost to Atlanta, which is a trash team. Barely beat the Saints. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I like you. I like you guys.
Philly's not a sexy team at times, but they get it done. And Jalen Hurts is a pretty focused guy, so I mean, I expect them to play pretty well. Also, the Cowboys' defense, it's going to be something to see what happens because they've been struggling. I mean, Micah towards the end of last year was non-existent. I know they got some help, recently, but we're gonna have to see what kind of defense you got that's gonna come out there. But the story for the offseason for me, not to switch gears off the Cowboys because we get a lot of slander from a nasty Bills fan. Um, the story of the offseason for me are the Pittsburgh Steelers. You know, I still need for somebody to tell me how Shador Sanders is not a Pittsburgh Steeler in the first, second, third, fourth, fifth round. I don't understand it. You've got Mason Rudolph on your bench right now. And are you
As your
seriously
starter.
banking? You seriously banking on Aaron Rodgers?
They're not
Are they
because they haven't
serious?
signed him yet. So
Well, of course
I
not.
think the Steelers are trying to tank. I think the team is tanking for one of two reasons. Either they want Mike Tomlin out of there and they want him to have a poor season, right? This guy doesn't miss the playoffs, no matter how bad the team is. And so what doesn't make sense to me, right, is not even just the Shador thing. It's that they went out and got DK. So you go out and you get DK, an older wide receiver, and now you don't do anything at quarterback. You get rid of the second wide receiver, a young wide receiver that would have, made defenses stay honest. Like, what are you doing? I don't know what Pittsburgh's doing. I think that they're just maybe they're tanking for Manning. Maybe they're expecting Manning to come out next year, and if they're good enough, they can bring him in and do something with that. But I'll tell you one thing: Mike Tomlin is not that guy. He's going to be like Miami, where they're going to tell him to tank, and he's going to be like, "No, my guys are going to go out there and they're going to play every single game."
It's crazy. Like, I agree. It was insanity that they did not pick him up. If not the first round, I mean, he's a steal in the second round. So I mean, it was bananas that they didn't pick him up. But the fact that they have
or
to
the
see,
third round,
yeah, right.
or the fourth round.
I'm just like, it's great. But the fact they got to see him 2 times a year for like the next 3 years or 4 years, man.
If he starts,
It's
I hope he
like
gets started.
Pittsburgh versus Cleveland games are like must see TV for a while now because I imagine Shador is going to be starting at some point this year. It's not Dylan.
Dylan's not starting
and shit like that. So like, I gotta see that as Sam. I mean, do you think he comes out week 1 starting, or they start to?
We're gonna see
At what point would they
preseason. I
start?
mean, you got Dylan Gabriel who's trash. I think they wasted a pick on that. You've got Joe Flacco on the wings, and you got Deshaun Watson still there. I think you might see Shador early on. I mean, he's looking good. He's doing everything that we thought a potential first rounder should be doing. But we'll see by preseason, man. And I'll tell you what, while the Browns didn't get that pick for Dylan Gabriel right, they got pretty much damn near everything else right. And that front four is going to look scary with Mason Graham and Miles Garrett coming at you. So Pittsburgh, this is not the time to not have a quarterback, game winning receiver, You don't have the running back that you had for years.
Yo,
It
that's a
looks pretty
good
bad
point.
over there.
Does Pittsburgh still have Kenny Pickett? Because we haven't talked about.
No, he was with the
No,
Eagles last year.
no. I thought okay,
Yeah,
yeah. So they
he
so they only
he got
have Mason
traded. He
Rudolph
got
over there.
traded to Cleveland. We traded him to Cleveland, so they had like
Okay,
5 quarterbacks. I don't think they let go Pickett yet, but
so
um,
Cleveland has Pickett. They have
Flacco.
uh Flacco, Watson, Dylan, Gabriel, and Shador. I don't think they're gonna want to start Shador right away unless he just looks like an absolute rock star. And I think it's solely because they're not gonna want to look wrong. They're not gonna want to, although they would look like stars if he does come out and he's that guy and they ended up getting him in the fifth, right? But then it still goes to EJ's point where you wasted a pick on a prior quarterback who was absolute, dog shit in comparison. And all of these teams, right? Like I'm hoping more so that Shador Sanders comes out and he leads Cleveland to the playoffs and they just look really, really good with him at the helm, not for a Cleveland standpoint, but I think for a 32 NFL team standpoint. Like I want all of these teams because there's no team in the NFL that you can tell me fourth round taking Shador even as a backup just in case type guy or future guy makes sense. I don't care if you have Josh Allen. I don't care if you have Lamar Jackson. I don't care if you have, it doesn't matter who your quarterback is. In the fourth round, you're getting a guy who people were calling a top 3 to 5 pick for 2 years, and then all of a sudden he drops to the fifth round. Like in the fourth round, you could have got this guy as a backup, and I think if he comes out and looks amazing, all these teams are gonna. Then it maybe changes the trajectory of allowing these owners and allowing whoever's making this call to say to your point in the chat, teach this guy a lesson. Maybe we don't see that in the future as much, or maybe people are a little, standoffish when it comes to that going forward.
Yep, the
I
Saints.
think
Saints slept.
the Saints. Oh man, I mean, I think these owners, and we say it all the time. They're supposedly surrounding themselves with the smart people in the room, millions of dollars to know absolutely nothing. And I mean, we've been debating this all week and prior. That some people say he's just not that good. And no, this was the NFL being the good old boys league that it's always been, and it's gonna look really bad when he starts and does well. It's gonna look bad. The league is gonna look really bad. It's gonna be a black eye on the league. It'll be great for Shador, but it'll just be exposing the bullshit that these guys have been on for ever now. And even in New Orleans, for them to have a guy like Tyler Show in the second round, I mean, this guy is absolute ass. He's been ass in college forever,
Mhm.
and you don't take a Shador Sanders, the league is definitely going to be on notice.
The
I mean,
Saints
do
want
you
art.
guys talk trash about each other when one of you aren't here?
Oh yeah, of course.
Because there's one person, one regular contributor that has a different opinion.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Well, yeah. VP is on record as being the one that thinks that Shador Sanders is not as good as what people thought he was, and he thinks because the league didn't take him, that's what they're saying, and that he's right. But I think he's just being willfully obtuse, and the the reality of it all will come out, and he's gonna, I mean, you can't be a Tua fan, right? You can't be a Tua fan and be like, well, it's arm strength. Like, dog, what are we talking about here?
I think I will literally track his year by year comparison to Tua
Yeah,
forever
yeah,
until he admits he is wrong.
he's
I'm
definitely
actually gonna put that on the record too. I will bet that Sanders, no matter when he starts, has better stats than Tua did his first year. So I don't know if I want to go
Oh, his first year.
yards,
First
yeah,
year, I
yards,
can see that.
QB rating. QB rating is probably fair, right? Because I don't know when he's going to start.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? It depends on when they decide to bite the bullet and put him in. Like the thing about it is not if but when with this guy. It shouldn't be a quarterback controversy because we've seen, unless someone else looks really, 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 really good, then it shouldn't be a controversy because we've seen what he's capable of. We've seen that the reality is he's probably one of, if not the top three quarterbacks in the league. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, in the draft. Skill wise, skill set. I mean, maybe you can try and slander the fact that he doesn't like, to I don't know. I don't know. Study the playbook or whatever. Maybe they're thinking another Kyler Murray situation. I don't know. They're saying he had bad interviews. I don't believe it, but that's what they're saying. And if that's what you're saying, and then he comes into camp and he does that just fine, then you've corrected what people said was correctable, right? And now it's just a matter of going in, polishing up his mechanics, and making sure his decision making is good, which we've seen because his QBR and his accuracy were the highest in the league or in college. So, like, what are we talking about? Now, the only thing that I think is a downside for Cleveland is who's going to be his targets. I think that's where your problem comes in.
True.
Do they still have? No, they don't have. Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper is a free agent right now. So
yeah, their wide receiver core is probably the least desirable thing about this team.
Yeah. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see as we get closer. We've started to see even more of these guys showing up. Travis Hunter was on video yesterday throwing the ball like a QB. And that kid is just talented, man. That is just raw talent right there. He can do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, good kid.
I'm excited to see him and what's the Jaguars receiver they had last year? Didn't you have him on your team? Brian Thompson Williams, Brian something, whatever the fuck his name is.
Mm-hmm.
I'll look it
It
up.
was like
Tampa Bay's going to be an interesting team to watch.
Brian Thomas Jr. I'm
wide receivers.
I'm excited to see that.
Y'all hear about y'all see that video with Antonio Brown?
AB?
Yeah.
AB claiming that someone was trying to take his jewelry.
Is that like I was at the gym and I just saw him scrapping. I was just like working out. I don't even know what happened.
EJ, did you see it?
No.
So for anyone who hasn't seen it, which I'm sure there's a lot of people who haven't seen it, Antonio Brown was in Miami at a boxing match that was being held by some streamer. I forget. It's one of them white dudes. I forget his name. And after the fight and everything, it looks like he was backstage, maybe trying to get to a vehicle. According to him, and what he reports, some people tried to take his chain, and he defended himself, right? And in the video, you can see clearly some people jumped on him because there was about 4 or 5 people around him, and I don't understand. Like, I get what Hennessy does to people. I drank a lot of Hennessy in my days. I am not getting into a fight with a pro athlete, dog. Like, these dudes are strong as shit, fast as shit. Like, I'm not doing it, yo. I'm not doing it. I don't understand. But anyway, Antonio Brown, this video, and I'm gonna find it when you guys, maybe E will talk about it because he's seen it a little bit while I look for it. He showed you why you shouldn't get into a fight with a pro athlete. And this is not just any pro athlete. This is an elite, probably the best wide receiver in his time in the years that he was in the league. Athlete. Like, the dude gets tackled and gets up before the other guy can roll over and kicks him in his chest. Like, this shit's crazy. I'm gonna find the video, yo. I'm gonna find the video.
It was crazy. I was sitting there and I was like, what is this? And then, I read the bottom and it's Antonio Brown and I could see him. He was just like Nightcrawler out there. He was just freaking like, yo. He was just like, whoever tried to get to him, he was just evading and taking shots at people and kicking them. And it's like, they couldn't stop him. And I was like, and then I was reading that shots went off or someone, so I was like, oh, I'm waiting for the next thing. I'm like, for him to be shot, but I didn't see anything like that. So I don't know who got shot. I don't know if shots just got fired and no one got hurt, but this is wild, man. Where's security? Well, I mean, he's crazy.
I think,
might be out there without security, but
yeah, he is. But I think the guy that he kicked in the chest might have been security trying to break it up. I found the
I mean, like
video.
his security, like
Oh, I
him
got you.
having security or something, somebody with him. You know, these guys are. You can't be out there with like who you are with all your jewelry out there and not have any protection, no backup at all. You know what I mean? It's got to be somebody looking out for you.
No, you're right.
Oh,
You're
I did see this, and I didn't know that this was AB.
Yeah, it looks crazy, right? It just looks like something you see on World Star or something, and it's and it's like Antonio Brown.
Maybe this isn't even the video. This looks like it was
But that's him in
afterwards when
cuffs. Yeah, that's him getting
yeah.
arrested.
Let's see if they show the original. This is only a 48-second thing. Yeah. So in Miami, they have this thing called shot spotter, right? They have an equipment called shot spotter. So if a gunshot goes off, it alerts them of that location. And so that's how they came up with the gunshot potentially happening in that area. And that's what they responded to. And they didn't respond to someone calling the cops because it happened. They respond to the shot spotter. And this was part of what took place in that area.
Wow.
Here, I got the video now. I'm gonna show it to you. This is not one of the better quality ones, but it's gonna have to do with the time that we're that we're dealing with right now. But again, like when you watch this video, just watch how quickly, like right up front. Let me share it. I'm gonna cut the audio. So right here, you could see Antonio Brown is right in this area, right above that, to the right, above that dude with the black shirt. And just watch how this goes down. Oh, I should probably push play first, right? It's all good. Oh, there he goes. Oh, so that's a bad video for him. So there was no audio. I'm going to turn the audio on for this, right? But watch when he runs off to the at the back end of it. That is just not good for this guy, man. Because they were saying that he was the one that shot the gun, and initially the report wasn't clear.
Yeah, you see how quick he got up?
So here you see him running off. You can see the burner in his hand. That's not good, man.
Yeah.
That's not good. And that's not even one of the better angles. Like the first angle, or the angle that's been out the most that E and I were talking about, is you could see better how he gets up. Like this dude is, again, this is a pro athlete, man. I don't know why dudes do this. Like the same thing with the dude that got into it with Aaron Donald. Like Aaron Donald is a freak of nature. Like I'm not putting myself in that position. I don't care how strong I think I am. You know, maybe people think they can do stuff like this for, purposes of lawsuits and stuff, but nah.
I'm talking at Aaron Donald like about like 200 yards away, talking shit.
Right.
Because I know he can make up some space. And I'm talking at him like 200 yards away, like
exactly. You're better than me.
Trying to use my age, like you little mother.
I don't want no parts of that.
These dudes are huge, man. These, like you said, these dudes, like their hands are like can wrap around your freaking throat, man. It's crazy. They could slap you, like knock you out by slapping.
It's not looking good for AB if he did fire that shot, and who knows what led to all of this and everything that he's been doing in the public eye. Yeah, I mean, he's almost probably going to be guilty before proven innocent. So.
Oh, it was Aiden Ross's event, which I don't know how I forgot his name because I hate that guy.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, it's probably better that you don't. He's a bum. But here's probably the angle that we've seen more of for everybody to see. This is the first video that came out. So you could see he's going to end up tumbling off to the left here in a second. He gets pulled down, and he's up before this guy got a chance to even roll around and kicks him in his chest. It's it.
Yeah,
I don't.
it's like WWE.
What are you? What are you doing, yo? Like, and I think that guy was trying to break it up, and I think that might be why he looked so baffled when he turned around after he got punted in the chest
Yeah,
by a professional athlete wearing some big ass boots. Yeah,
yeah.
that was tough. Um, but oh look, Lil Pump is there. There's another angle here. Oh, so all the Trump supporters were out there. All the influencer Trump supporters. Aiden Ross is a Trump supporter. AB obviously. Here's Lil Pump. Yeah, so that's what
Nothing
happened.
good happens after midnight,
Especially at
Speaking
especially when you're hanging
speaking
with
of
EJ there in the streets. He will have you bet.
spe- speaking of letting off shots, new development in Tory Lane's case. Tory Lane's getting stabbed up 14 times.
Mhm.
New evidence supposedly arises. I mean, what's going on here?
I don't know if it's gonna be too little, too late, man. Shout out to Tory Lanez, man. Best wishes to him. He, if you don't know, he was stabbed in jail earlier this week. Came out on his Instagram. Whoever is running his Instagram from since he's in jail right now, he was stabbed 14 times. Both lungs collapsed allegedly. Once in the head, once in the torso, and a number of other times. And they said right after that he was stable and talking normal and so on. A lot of doctors came out and said if both lungs collapse, that that's not likely the case. He wouldn't be talking that quickly and off a ventilator that quick. Um, but obviously, right, you're talking about a guy who's got 10 years in jail, and if you can make something look worse than it is, then you can go to places and say, go, I'm not safe, or he's not safe, and maybe get him moved, get him closer to somewhere, or potentially get time shaved off. So I could see why they would exaggerate slightly on that, but then later in the week after that happens, right, we get this spotlight, and then allegedly, uh, one of the bodyguards who's disappeared, right? If you remember the Tory Lane's case, the bodyguards disappeared and no one can find them all of a sudden, right? That were on scene at the time. Well, according to his legal team, I want to say it was Meg's bodyguard came out and said that oh, why can't I remember her name? What's her name? EJ, the best friend.
Kylie Jenner? No,
No,
not
no,
Kylie Jenner.
no, her best friend, dog. Um.
I have no idea.
Anyway, says that she's the one that she shot Meg, not Tory Lanez. I don't know how. Like I think it's too little too late. Again, in my point, I think it's too little too late. Unless they're gonna get some type of appeal, try to get it taken back to court. I don't know if that holds any weight at this point. And also, we're talking about what's the true evidence that you got someone who's coming out and saying this is what happened, but this is eons after the trial, and also I'm pretty sure that she made a deal to have full immunity. So they've given her immunity, and now the bodyguard comes back and says she's the one that shot Meg. She's the one that actually pulled the trigger. I don't know how that works. Like, I'm not a legal person, so but I would assume that the immunity would probably take precedent in that situation, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think you can immunity won't count in certain ways if they find new evidence that implicates that you actually did something. They didn't she didn't have to be she wasn't forced to testify. So I don't know that she would be immune from any charges to come from any new evidence that would suggest that she did something illegal in that regard. The other part is though, aside from charging the person who may have actually shot her, I think if this evidence is true, I think if what this person is saying is true, I think the biggest injustice here is to the guy that's locked up for something that he potentially may not have done. And we always go back to the evidence being presented that this guy never had gun residue on him. So I mean, there was some key things in that case that just can't be ignored. You couldn't find witnesses. Now you have this person allegedly saying they know
Kelsey
he
Harris.
didn't have Kelsey Harris, the bodyguard, saying that he didn't have the gun. So I mean, it's a lot going on here. I don't think this is one of those situations where we're not trying to protect Meg, and we shouldn't be thinking about protecting her. What's right is what's right, and I think if this what this person is saying is true, the truth needs to come out and it needs to be on display. And that guy deserves a second chance.
He basically saying that the person responsible could still be out there. So I mean, if you worried about protecting Meg,
Actual justice, yeah.
yeah, you want the person that actually did the crime to be punished, not anyone. You know what I mean? It's not just like I don't care. Just someone needs to be punished. So they're just going to
Yeah.
assign blame to somebody.
So their case is
you said stab
14.
14. How like
they're saying
how
it
do you
was
get that off?
they're saying it was a Mex. Well, they have the guy. They're saying it was a Mexican guy, or it was a Mexican guy. There's two things that came out. One said that Tory Lanez was saying something about his wife, and another one was saying that it was like a gang type thing, blacks versus Mexicans in there. But you don't know what the truth is, right? But I agree with you. Like, this is an inside job, yo. You don't get dinged 14 times. 14 times, yo.
Yeah,
Well, not only that, he's been in prison for 2 years with no incidents. And it just all happens to have happened the same week that the bodyguard comes forward. So before we knew about that information, the prosecution and those lawyers knew about that information. So the same week that that information comes out, he basically gets a hit put on him. Like, it's kind of wild.
that's
Yeah,
very
Kind of
there's,
wild.
wild.
there's some questions
What
to be
state is
asked.
this in? Is this in New York?
California.
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 And so in addition to the bodyguard coming out, they want to reopen the case for two reasons. One, remember when the case was there was no gun residue found on Tory Lanez, right? No. So if I shot someone that night, you found no residue on me. That's one. Two, they checked his DNA, but nobody else's. They didn't check Kelsey, none of the bodyguards or anything, and the DNA that was on the gun was unknown, and his was not found on the gun. So again, I don't understand how they lost that case for him. He probably just had
Exactly.
a whole team, yo. Like, that should have been the first thing they said. Yo, my DNA is not on the gun. What are we talking about? Why are we
What
even?
was that? What was the evidence? Was it
It was Meg saying
witness?
he did it. Yeah, it was Meg. She said he did it. The victim.
Meg's testimony was
That's like the
basically
worst evidence.
Right.
Eyewitness is the worst evidence
Yeah.
for a murder case. I mean, that's crazy.
from the
Well,
victim at least, rather,
yeah.
especially somebody who was the victim and got shot. I mean, from her perspective, she may have really felt it was him. I mean, you just got shot, you don't know. But if you have an eyewitness account saying, as a professional bodyguard, he did not have the gun. I saw him. Then you're missing witnesses. There's no gunshot residue, and there's no DNA on the gun. How do
Yo,
well?
I don't. I'm
Uh,
really good friends with both of you guys. Well, with you, Eric, and I'm family with you, EJ. But if we were smashing the same broad, right, and you shoot me, I'm not gonna say it's the broad just because we're friends. Like, I don't understand. Like, if that's what happened, I don't get Meg's thinking. Like, I know her and Kelsey were best friends, and they were both smashing Tory Lanez, or he was smashing them, or whatever. And so I get it, right? Like, this is my best friend. I'm gonna try and hold him down. But if my best friend shoots me over another broad, all of that goes out of the window. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna
Well,
say it was the broad.
when
I'm
we're
gonna say,
talking
yo,
about
he shot me.
we talk about wealth and influence when you're talking about the other chick versus Tory's a singer's R&B guy. He's got some money, but can we
True.
sacrifice him for the greater good of the fact that this person's wealthy and comes from money. So, and I mean, the fact that she
Oh,
didn't have to testify is incredible to me. You were there,
Yeah.
you know?
so you're saying that chick was just basically about the bag? She was just about security. That was her prime motive.
I
Security.
mean, yeah, why not?
Sounds like a lot of.
Diddy's case started this past week.
Whew,
Have you guys been keeping up with that at all?
sure have.
I'm
I
afraid
sure
to
have.
like look at that case, man. I'm afraid to look at. I saw you guys posted some stuff. I'm like, it feels though if I click on anything like the FBI,
They might come get you.
it's gonna be like child porn or some shit. It's like this shit is so fucking disgusting, man. Like, what the hell were they doing? Like it was
Oh, they was having fun.
forever.
Yo,
Like
you have to think like
forever since
whenever
the
he
90s.
started this stuff. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're talking about 30 years of this type of stuff.
Yeah, I guess if you
Free
get
call.
away with that stuff for so long, it's like you start to just not care. You get sloppy. And just, I don't know,
My
man.
thing is, my thing is this, right? I'm not even gonna get into the Cassie point yet. I'm gonna start with just like everything that they've presented, right? Everything that they've presented against him so far. They're seeking sex trafficking charges. And none of this leads currently to sex trafficking. A lot of it is they had Cassie on the bench. They asked her about, getting, abused mentally, physically, and all of that fun stuff, right? This leads to domestic violence. This leads to prostitution. They talked about they had some escorts, male and I know a male escort for sure, that they brought to the bench and had him talk about, how they paid him off. Again, illegal prostitution, fine, I'll take that charge if I'm Diddy. He says he's the one that said Cassie told him to pee on her. So they're trying to paint this narrative like Diddy was this monster. And don't let me preface this by saying Diddy is a monster. I'm not saying he's not, but they're painting this narrative that he's this monster that forced certain things, and a lot of it is coming out that it wasn't forced, although like the domestic violence stuff, which makes him a monster, right? um that stuff is there and they're proving that. But we flew this guy in. Well, there was a video, or there was a text message from Cassie recently that came out that says she was about it and she wanted the freak offs, right? She texted him and said, hey, I want to freak off tonight, like stuff like that that's coming out. So their whole thing going into this and before even the trial started was that Diddy was forcing her to do this. Diddy was forcing women and people to do this. He was drugging people and stuff like that, right? But the people that they're bringing to the stand are disproving that. And this is before Diddy's team even gets to them. This is right. This is the prosecution asking these questions, and these witnesses are coming out and saying, yeah, we were there and we did this freak off and he paid me to sleep with her while he masturbated, right? Which, yeah, he's a weirdo and a freak for that, but there's nothing to get. There's no law against being a cuck, right? Like, there's no law against being a cuck. You want to be a cuck, dog. You a billionaire. Call me what you want if I'm a billionaire, yo. If I'm a cuck and I'm a billionaire also. Don't forget that part. Like, but this is what the guy's saying. Yeah, he's a cuck. He sat there and watched me beat his girl up, smash it. And then she said that I needed to pee on her. Not him. He's not the one that told me to pee on her. She said pee on it, on me. And don't give me a straight stream. It has to come out slowly. Like, these are the details that we're getting, right?
That's why I did.
These are the details we're getting. And
Oh my
allegedly they
God.
have some videos of the freak offs that are going to be
Oh,
given to
shit.
the jury to listen to. They're going to have to listen to them with headphones because they're saying the audio was bad. They're saying that the video is bad, so they're probably not going to show it in the court and stuff. That also help prevent them from getting leaked and stuff like that. But today, right, where they are, and maybe they just haven't gotten their big finish, no pun intended, but maybe they're moving into other witnesses that are going to help with that trafficking stuff and the RICO case that they gave them, because from what we're hearing, this is just, it sounds like domestic violence and, mistreatment to Cassie, which I agree with, and I do feel like he should be held accountable for that, but don't hold me accountable at sex trafficking, consequences for domestic violence, in my opinion.
You think they were trying to, the strategy might be to try to paint him as a certain character, and maybe funding all of the sexual behavior, so then that maybe they're going to try to tie it in with money, like, he went from doing this, but he was funding all of it. It doesn't matter if she was she agreed with it and everything like that, but she wasn't paying to fly anybody in. She wasn't paying for anything. He was paying for everything, and then it stepped from that to paying for underage, trafficked kids. Or
they didn't say anything about underage people or anything. It was
not yet.
hired working escorts. But the crazy thing about it, it's a RICO case, and a RICO is for a criminal organization. And all I really heard from, even with the prosecution and the cross examination, the next person in line in this criminal organization at this time was Cassie. you know, so I mean, this guy, he's a terrible person. Obviously, we saw the video. We know about the physical abuse. But I don't know that the prosecution is proving their case here. It's going to be one thing to say, she was a victim for 10 years and she didn't want to leave, Stockholm syndrome, all these things. You can say all those things. But, you can't, as a jury, weigh in and say that this guy had a criminal organization of sex trafficking just based on the fact that he was this abusive woman beater. Nothing that they're putting together right now is showing what they've been trying to prove. So it seems like it's more of a trial of his character and than anything else. And to your point, Steve, nothing that's been testified so far seems to go in their favor. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think to E's point, they're playing the court of public opinion role, right? They're playing that route, which I think the public already feels like this guy's a monster.
Right.
I don't think there's anyone out there. There are people that feel like he should be free because they're charging him with stuff that's not relevant, right? Allegedly today, right? They haven't proven anything, and he is a monster. But I'm thinking, like, you can play that card with the public. I don't know if you can play that card with a jury and it stick. And I think that's what it seems like they're trying to do. And if that's the case, the people that are, running this case from the federal side, they better get some new people on it, because they're gonna mess around and lose it, just like they lost, well, not they lost, but just like Young Thug's case got lost in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The jury's gotta, they have certain rules that they have to stick to when they make the decision, right? It can't be opinion, it can't be
feelings. And all it takes is one, right? It takes just for somebody like me or EJ or you to be in there to be like, yo, this guy's a monster.
Yeah.
And sure, he should be, held accountable for the stuff he did.
He's not invited to the barbecue, but
but we can't charge him for stuff he didn't do.
For trafficking. Yeah.
This is the Casey Anthony all over again, right? Where they went for murder, premeditated or whatever, instead of going for something they could have, like, manslaughter or whatever, negligence. These are the things that we're seeing, and I think that, of course, this guy's got tons and tons of money, right? So his team is good, and his team hasn't even got to shitting on people yet. You have to assume that they've got their stuff lined up. They're probably just sitting there like, they're doing the job for us. And when they do finally get to a point, right? When they do finally get to a point where they're trying to, pin something, that's when we're going to get our hands dirty. But it looks bad. It's only week 1, right? And obviously, we'll see how long the case goes on. They said they expect it to be somewhere between 30 and 60 days, the trial rather. So maybe they're just warming up, but they're warming up slow.
Yeah,
They're not even running suicides yet.
crazy.
But we'll definitely keep an eye on that. No question. VP's not here, so E, you might know a little bit better. This week, Supreme Court's finally starting to take a stand on Trump a little bit. And by way of the budget and the deportations and stuff like that. Do you think this is a sign of, things changing and people starting to, say enough is enough? Or what do you think?
I've been loosely following it. The last thing I remember, there's been some, I guess, like an interview process where the justices are asking, I forget who the representative is for Trump or who that person is that's trying to speak on his behalf. But I read something about Barrett. She's a Trump appointee, right? So she basically was chastising the guy for making a statement that the Supreme Court's rulings are kind of like suggestions that the president
Wow.
does not have to follow. Like, they're like their suggestions or something. I might be I might be phrasing this incorrectly, but she kind of like she was just like she wanted him to repeat what he said, as a like, did you just fucking say that shit? Like, we're the Supreme Court. They are the last line of trying to keep this guy in check, but because he's just unabashedly trying to break down the branches of government and just have it be one. He's trying to. He got caught on camera in an interview saying, "I'm the law," and he's like, the federal law, but he was referring to himself like he's the law, and he's not the legislative branch. Like, he cannot create law, even though he's trying to, he's trying to rule by decree. He's like, I don't know if you guys like watch Harry Potter, but he's like Dolores Umbridge and shit with like all the little damn decree rules and shit up there. He's just like making executive orders like crazy. So he's trying to make laws. He's trying to control the power of the purse, which is Congress. And now he's basically saying that I don't have to listen to the judicial branch. They're the only ones like keeping him in check. So I think that thankfully Barrett and who's the other guy, Roberts, are out of the justices, the right-leaning justices. They're the only two right now that I think that are sometimes Kavanaugh that aren't complete batshit crazy, that they might save our democracy, because Alito's horrible. Clarence Thomas is the worst one, man. For like some reason, he's like Uncle Ruckus, like to a T. Like he's crazy. Like, I don't know if it's actually him or they've got some video of him. I don't know what it is, but he's like, I don't even look to see how he votes. I know how he votes, like on everything going in. I know, and I'm 100% right all the time. But
right,
it's crazy what they're trying to push and what they're trying to do. That whole fled the zone that they did when he first started in his 100 days is basically try to stress the system out so much. And it's sad to say that a lot of that stuff has worked, because people are already starting to forget what has happened over the last 100 days. Like all of the crazy things that has happened. Like, how is Pete Hegseth still has a job? Like, how does this guy still have a job? How does Gabbard still have a job? It's crazy where we're at right now. So I don't know. I say all that to say there is a glimmer of hope that the Supreme Court keeps him in check. but I don't know if words are going to stop this administration. Honestly, I think it's going to come down to something more physical, more tangible, to change things,
Yeah,
in my opinion, which is scary as
yeah.
fuck.
It, we're in scary hours, and to your point, it is good to see the Supreme Court trying to do its job, but at this point, we are in the thick of it, and we got to hold on tight at this point, man. It's just it is what it is. It's bad, um, and we're gonna have to hold on tight at this point.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
that 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 whole thing I know you guys talk about in the chat. I don't know if you guys I think I've heard you mention it a smattering of times in the pod about are people arming themselves. I am not
Oh
a
yeah.
gun proponent, but it is a necessary thing to protect yourself, and it's uh, to be able to handle yourself if the wheels completely fall off and you like it's you don't realize. I think people don't realize how isolated we all are, um, and we have this like false sense of security that well, I live on this street, I live on this block, and I mean, what's going to happen to me, really? You know what I mean? Like, people are just going to come over here. You know what I mean? And how many videos do we have to see of people just getting assaulted or attacked with a crowd of people around them, recording it, and no one doing anything?
Mhm.
To not really fully grasp that we are isolated, man. We're like we're so distracted. We're so worried about our own little world that they made it hard for us to like do the right thing if we see the wrong thing happening to someone else.
Right.
And so arming yourself and protecting yourself is I tell you what, it's the decree that the other side keeps saying. So I mean, you shouldn't feel embarrassed about doing it yourself. So it's I get if you have young kids. That was my thing. It was like I kept thinking and thinking and thinking. I was like, I need these kids to be out of this house before I were to do anything like that. But that's just me. Um, that's just me being a pessimist and being very cynical and stuff like that. But you just have to be responsible about it. But I think it is necessary. I do applaud you guys, mentioning that out to the public and encouraging people to do it. It's I think it is necessary in this day and time, unfortunately. Hope you never have to use it, but
Yep.
Yeah.
You always hope. You always hope you don't have to use it, right?
right.
Have it better to have and not need it than to need it and not have it. And I mean,
EJ, I was gonna ask you about the protests that you saw in DC this week. Which side of the fence were those?
I have no idea because people were hiding their signs. You got people coming down there talking about immigrants and all type of stuff. I mean, DC is wild. When you see people protesting on the hill, and so I don't know. It has been a lot of seemingly has been a lot of Trump supporters coming into town and walking around. So I don't know, man. But yeah, it's wild.
A lot of Trump supporters.
Yeah, you see a lot of people you see like these families of five, six, usually like white, and you can tell they've come from somewhere else. They've come off the airport or coming off the train, and
Huh.
they've got the Trump memorabilia on, and they're walking to the Capitol. So I mean, you've seen a lot more of it more recently uh, than later, than last year rather. So yeah,
But not protesting though. Like what are they protesting?
I,
What is a Trump supporter today, this weekend
well,
protest?
Well, you have those people that are his supporters that, those religious zealots and all type of people. They may not be protesting, but they'll be out there, basically championing his cause, or saying anything, So you just never know. I mean, to your point, you just never know what to expect these days. And this guy has really, if there was any belief or if anyone held any hope that America was a decent moral country, this guy has, say what you want. You can have any feeling about his policy, any feeling about this or that, but he's bringing the people out. He's bringing the people that want this place to go back to the 1800s. They're coming out. They're everywhere. You got the neo Nazis coming out, coming into people's towns, and all this crazy shit is going on. You know?
Yeah, it's safe, and I think also people have to stop giving platforms to some of this stuff. You know what I mean? Like I'm seeing like we saw the one last week where Piers Morgan had the white chick on there with Mark Lamont Hill, and she's like, and she's one of those proponents that, well, black people use the different terms slander towards white people. How come I can't say it? How come we can't say it? What makes it wrong for us, right? And Piers says, well, do you use the N-word? And she says, I do, if it fits, right? And you got the situation again where that woman in Minnesota called the little black boy, the N-word, and was recorded, and people are supporting her to say, well, she should be able to freedom of speech and stuff like that, right? These platforms, I think, are making people feel safe to come out, right? To EJ's point, you never saw them before, and we can blame Trump for bringing them out, and I think that's a major part of it. But I think you still have, it's like, I think there's still some of them that are like, I don't know if I want to go out. Now, what we do find is that when people are, and I do like this part about it, is a lot of them, when they do get exposed, they're losing their jobs and there's impact and stuff like that, right? Um, but on the flip side of it, they're getting it right back with the GoFundMe's and stuff like that, because the people that believe that stuff are sticking with their people. And I think that's also a major challenge for us, right? Like, we're all living, a lot of us live in that as long as I'm good, I'm fine type of a mentality, and not really thinking about, we need to all be good. We need to all be fine, because we're all at stake here. We're all at risk here. So many times I see, on social media, on the different posts, on the news posts and stuff like that, where we black people are like, hey, black people, this isn't our fight, when we start to see, Hispanics mistreated and stuff like that, right? And we can't have that, right? Because that's the first step. First it's them, and then it's us, right? Like, we
Divide
have
and
to
conquer.
all understand what we have to do to stop this hurricane or this tornado that's coming at us, because that's essentially what it is. And I was able to hear you guys when I stepped away. VP said similar to what you said, E, like, Supreme Court is there to initiate what the best route is, but they can't force it. You know what I'm saying? It's,
Right.
if this guy truly wants to tear democracy down to the ground, then he can. And he can just say, I don't care what they say. And he's already started that with some of the local judges. It's the Supreme Court that, to this point, today, he hasn't. And I'm wondering if he's afraid, or he knows that there are some people in Congress, and so on, that believe in democracy at some level, and he doesn't want to lose, those supporters. I don't know.
I almost this is the most crazy conspiracy kind of thought I have. And it's not really conspiracy, but I mean, we're really in crazy times. We're seeing stuff that I don't think three of us ever thought we would see in our lifetime happening. It's something we would see in a movie or something. And I I almost think because the judicial branch doesn't have an army, right?
Mhm.
They can't really fight. I
Right.
think he's trying to figure out which generals would still support him in
Oh,
military action, um, knowing that the Supreme Court was like, you can't do this, and he's just like, screw you, I'm still going to do it. Like, which generals would still follow his orders? Like, which of those generals would still follow his orders? Because I think we talked about this before the campaign, which when we were talking about this guy trying to run for additional terms and be like a Putin, was he said his biggest regret the last time was not having people that were loyal to him, and that was the basically the prime attribute that you had to be in the cabinet. The military doesn't exactly work that way. He can't just like replace every branch of the military's like leaders. You know what I mean? So some of those guys, thankfully, most of those guys, I believe, still believe in democracy, still believe in the rule of law, and they would be like, I don't know if we're going to follow this order, right? Because it isn't a VP that keeps saying that, or somebody that I read said that there is, I don't know if it's in the Constitution or the Bill of Rights or whatever it is, that soldiers or the individuals that are in the military don't have to follow the president's order if it is an unlawful order. They don't have to just do everything that he says if it is completely unlawful.
I read that too. And I'm pretty sure it's in the Constitution.
Something like that. So I think that's the last thing he's trying to work through. Like, because I tell you right now, if he was just like, if Air Force, Navy, Army, Coast Guard, if they were like, it will do whatever you say, it'd be
martial law.
It'd be game over. It just would be flat out game over. So I think he's trying to navigate his way around that. But there's, the Supreme Court, man.
What's the outlook on tariffs from like an executive accounting standpoint?
I've been a lot busier. So for my company that I work for, we have offices in China. We do distribution in China, Germany. Our holding company is UK based. We do a lot of business in Canada. So I've been running all types of scenarios of who are our top clients in Canada, who are top supply. We get supplies from all over the place too for what we produce.
Right.
Long story short, April, we start our fiscal year starts in April. We're not like a January through December. We're like April through March. We lost 50% in sales in April, not because we did not have the sales or orders and stuff like that, but we froze shipping stuff to China, which is like a third of our business. We just
was it due to cost?
Yeah, we just froze everything until we were trying to figure out what was going to happen. Because anything we shipped to China, they were going to tariff 145%, right? As a reciprocal tariff to what AskClown was doing to them. So it's kind of crazy. His whole thing was like, let me make it harder to buy imports, right? So that we start making stuff here, right? What the company I work for, what we're doing so far is we're gonna stop making more stuff here in our like Orlando office. We're gonna basically build like 90% of our product in Orlando, ship it to Germany, have Germany finish it, then they ship it to China and they
export it from there.
So he's basically taking production away from America.
Jobs from America.
Yeah, that's the solution that we came, which was pretty brilliant. Like the guy that came up with it, pretty clever guy that did it. It's still going to cost us more because it's still like, first of all, our Germany facility doesn't have enough capacity to do this stuff, so we have to like build more stuff over there. We have to start investing over there, which is the exact opposite.
Is what he wants. What he was trying to say was going to happen.
What he was trying to do. I don't know. I don't think he knows what he's trying to do. I mean, so
And essentially, I think that's what people will do on the flip side with us, right? Like if I'm Audi, for example, right? I would do 80 to 90% of any production I can overseas and then send that here to just finish from here so that once it comes from the assembly line, it's coming from America,
Yeah.
right?
Put the
I'm not
windshield wiper
losing
on.
right. I'm not losing jobs in Germany and not losing how I produce this stuff. The parts that I'm using are still coming from the same places, but I'm just finding my way around it,
Yeah.
and I mean, a lot of that happens today. A lot of the VP talked about it a few pods ago, where a lot of the car makers here in America send stuff to Canada to finish, right? And it ends up in Canada and then comes back to us, and that's how the tariffs were going to hurt some of the American manufacturers, right? So it, I don't know, like it just sounds like to me this is just a lot of it is just ways to increase hate and cause for his base, because his base stands on this stuff. His base is like, well, buy American, right? And then Walmart comes out this week and says, yo, prices are going up, and prices are going up due to inflation. And now he attacks Walmart, who was one of his supporters.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
So
like his supporters are walking around in non-American stuff. You know what I
right,
mean?
right,
Because all
right.
this stuff is like made in China. So it's. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've stopped trying to figure those people out. I mean, they're just dumb.
Well, yeah, you'll never figure them out, but you at some point there's a lot of them, right? And you got to figure out how to create more thinking like us than that. Otherwise, it continues, whether it's him or the next person, like a JD Vance or something like that. You know what I mean? Marco Rubio, whoever it is, like
Yeah.
you won't stop the Trump train just by stopping him. It's going to be, you got to stop whoever's after him that thinks like that. The DeSantis of the world, and
Oh yeah, yeah,
those guys, and
yeah.
they all have their own different, once, because what he's showing, right, maybe some of them aren't thinking the same as far as from the racial standpoint, but they might have other extreme thoughts, and you're just showing them that they can get it done. You know what I mean? That they can create this type of I don't even know what you call it, lack of a democracy, right? It's, he's treating himself like he's a king,
Yeah.
and it's just it's a mess.
Yeah, like the biggest thing I think is kind of the sticking point for Democrats or liberals or even independents are it's that you've got we're trying to use like logic or we think about it. It's in order to fight against this, it's we have to get down to that level, right? You have to have less empathy. You have to be you can't think long term. You actually just have to react,
Right.
and just get nasty. It seems like that's the only thing that they're going to respond to. Um, I mean, because like I said, you can't make it. It does not make sense. You can't like tell me that all these evangelicals are following someone that's just basically like screw everyone else. Like it just goes against everything that they claim to believe.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, but I think
Yeah.
the Democrats have to like your girl Jasmine Crockett and people
That's my
like
dog
that.
right there.
They're not afraid to just be like constantly every single time they've got a platform, a mic.
Yep.
They're like, he's a felon, he's a criminal, he's disgusting, he's a sexual
Yep.
rapist. You're you just just basically calling them out and it's like,
And not only that, they
get
attack
on.
his character, but they also, what they're doing, like Jasmine at least, and AOC, what they're doing is not only attacking his character, but then they're also, referencing it to things that he's done that are against the Constitution, that
Right.
are illegal, right? And
Right.
that's the thing. Like that part of it goes in some people's ears and out. Like I don't understand how you see this fit. Like I get, and it's the same thing that we say all the time. They're okay with people being mistreated. They're okay with Trump being a scumbag and treating people like shit until it's them. that are impacted by the stuff that he's doing, right? And then we want to sit back, and unfortunately, right, as liberal minded individuals, you still have some sort of empathy for these people and what they're, even though you sit back and you're like, fuck it, they got what they
That's the
deserve.
curse. That's the curse, man. Because
Yeah.
if you don't have some level of empathy, then you're kind of
You're
them.
no better. Yeah, you're no better.
It's like it just becomes pure tribalism.
Yep.
Unfortunately, one of the biggest things that a lot of bigots don't understand is that we're only like 13% of the country, less than 13% of the country. That's the shit that, oh my God, man. I think I don't know if I shared it with you guys, but that whole affirmative action or DI complaints that, well, first of all, people think that DEI means that it's affirmative action. It's two totally different things, but we can't even have like our percentage of black people in this country. We can't even have 1 million people in every state. That's how few of us there are in this country. So the fact that there's any clip of anything happening with any program that we are taking over anything is like such a lie. it's about as big as transgender sports. Like, oh, transgenders are taking over sports. It's like, what?
You have one instance in like a 3-year span, and it's like,
it's crazy, man.
But it's what it is. It's sounding the alarm, is what it is. And since these people don't do any research, they hear it and they're like, "No way! I have daughters. I would never want my daughter." Well, it's not. Like, first of all, does your daughter play sports?
Yeah. First of all, you have daughters and you support Trump? Are you shitting me? Like,
it's just a wild, wild time that we're living through right now, and you just gotta hope. Like, I'm just hoping that, you said Coney Barrett, who he appointed with expectations of her being full MAGA, and it sounds like she's not full MAGA. It sounds like she's a judge and she's supporting the oath that she took for the most part, or trying to now at this point. And you just gotta hope that Supreme Court being a little more even headed runs down to the Senate and the House and so on, and you get more people on the right side of it. Like the bill didn't pass, the budget didn't pass because there were 5 Republicans that stood against it, right? And so
but do you see why they stood against it?
Yeah, I
they
did.
wanted more cuts.
Like, but at least they stood against
it. No, this is we want more cuts to Medicaid.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, and then I read why, and I was like, oh.
Yeah. Well, there was, I don't know if they said all 5 of them were that. One of them was. And what was it, Johnson or something? One of those.
I think it's just a matter of time. Midterm elections are huge coming up. So.
Yeah. So, but, the one thing that people don't realize is they're like, well, someone said to me this week, they're like, well, he'll be gone in 3 years, or this will be over in 3 years. Right. And even if that's the case, 3 years is a long time. We are 5-6 months in and we're doing this bad. So imagine another 2.5, 3.5 years of this. It's not good. It's not good. And it can only get worse. And right now he's just, dipping his toe in the water. Eventually he's going to take a full splash at some point, and sell off a state or some shit to Qatar. Like, yo, y'all can have the Dakotas for this in exchange for another plane or some shit. Like, that's the type of thing I see him doing, because I think it's all money for him. I think it's setting himself, his family, his lineage up. And I think that's what it all revolves around. And all the people that think like that, money, are supporting him, and they're on that side of him. I mean, from the billionaire side of things, CEOs and such, that are on his side of things, they're just thinking money. And for him, there's no stopping point. If he has to sell off a portion of the United States, I think he would. And that's where I think we have to start to think about that, because Next thing you know, half of the United States is, owned by another country,
Yep.
or
Yeah,
two, or five.
he's unhinged, man. Like, I don't put nothing behind it. Like, I mean, changing the names of international waters and like trying to take over colleges and universities. He's probably going to try to take over sports. I mean, it's
Well,
going
the
to be like,
NFL sunset its DEI program this week.
yeah. It's so, you know, it's so exhausting. It's just that's the thing. It's just so exhausting, and it's intentional. Like, they intentionally try to get you to just
It
like
really
give
is.
up.
Because you're
Um,
seeing these FCC deals, right? Like there was a major FCC deal. It was Comcast. Was it Comcast and shit? I got
yeah, you just posted it. It was Merc. Um,
hold on. Comcast merge. I'm trying to remember because you got the Spectrum and Cox cable that went through. They
that's
did, or
the one I
Charter.
thought you were talking
Charter
about.
and Cox went through this year, or this week, or was announced this week. But there was also Comcast. Damn it. Oh, I forget what it was, but Comcast they just got their FCC approval, and the FCC approval came after they sunset their DEI program. So that's the type of thing that
Mhm.
they're doing from a federal standpoint. Hey, you got this deal in place, but everything on the books, you got to take DEI, you got to take, gender fluidness, you got to take all of that out of anything that you accept, and then maybe we'll pass it to the FCC and you'll get approved.
In all honesty, it's silly in a lot of cases, because just like we were talking about, like the solution for my company to work around these tariffs. There's companies that are basically like, all right, and they're just calling it MVP, or they're just change the
Mm-hmm.
acronym for it, and it's still the same thing, because ultimately DEI is not really a hiring practice. It might be a promotion practice, or it just gives you it made you have to widen your net with what you're reviewing when you're trying to basically look at leadership or look at strategy and stuff like that. So a lot of companies that are standing up for themselves are like, hey, look, we started to bring more Hispanic people into the boardroom,
It
into the
wasn't
market.
Comcast, it was Verizon and Frontier.
Verizon Frontier. I was wondering if that was one, because you were talking about FCC, but basically it's like, we want to sell to more Hispanic people. Who knows? Maybe we should have more Hispanic people come here in marketing and do some leadership and some strategies and stuff like that. Oh shit! Our sales in this demographic have increased. We are making more money. Like,
Right.
every DEI program that you like, most of them, they're basically like, we've increased revenue with different demographics and overall since we've initiated these programs. So that's all it's
Yep.
about. It's not about. I use the when I've talked to people that are against affirmative action or DEI, and they think that someone unqualified, they immediately, and that's like, this is, I'm comfortable with telling people, like, this might be a bigoted thing that you have, and it's okay. I mean, it's not okay to stay bigoted, but if it gets pointed out to you, you should be cognizant enough to be like, hey, I never thought about that. I mean, I've been bigoted about certain things. I've been misogynistic about certain things before, and it's been pointed out to me, and I had to really reflect and like, yeah, I do think this way. Maybe I should stop.
Right.
But it's to think that someone got a program made an unqualified person get a job over a qualified person is a bigoted thought. You're basically saying that only white guys who got the job are always qualified. You have to go into it thinking that way, which we know that is absolutely not the case. That's probably the most affirmative action this country has ever had over as long as it's had, because we weren't hiring anybody except for white males for anything, because you weren't hiring women, you weren't hiring people of color, you weren't hiring people of different religions and stuff like that. The basic rule of thumb was you had to be white male to get the job. So that was like the biggest affirmative action this country ever had. So a lot of unqualified white dudes got jobs over more qualified people. But
it's still happening.
Bring it back. It's not like you can't. If you were going to be a lawyer, you have to pass the bar exam, and you have to do all these certifications, all these things to become a lawyer. If a firm started to cast their net and say, hey, look, we are only looking at Princeton to hire lawyers. We're going to look at Princeton and FAMU right now to basically broaden our scope and make this more diverse. It doesn't mean that they didn't both take the same bar exam or both not qualified. It's just you still have to be qualified. It's not unqualified people taking qualified jobs, over people that are more qualified. That's not the case.
Yeah, that's what they're trying to make it seem, right? And sure, like I've seen it in play. I've seen it happen where someone was hired for a specific reason, and it's not that they weren't qualified; they just weren't the best person for the role. They weren't the best person for the job, and that happens every day. And that's going to happen whether you have DEI programs or whether you don't have DEI programs in place.
Nepotism.
Nepotism. We're seeing that, every single day. But yeah, like that. So those are the things they're holding over their heads, right? Like it says, so FCC approves Verizon. FCC has announced approval for a merger between communication giants Verizon and Frontier after a deal was made last year. Verizon will acquire Frontier Communications, $9.1 billion in cash, in addition absorbing its $10 million in debt. But they had to commit to ending DEI practices in order for the FCC to approve them, which is absolutely wild to me. That you as a federal entity would try to tell a company what they can or can't do, as far as filling their positions. So, yeah, man, we'll see. We'll continue to track this stuff. We'll continue to talk about it, and just I don't know what to say. Untraditional times that we're living through, man.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be. So I'm going to Key West next week, right? You know that. I've heard that there's a lot of those people down there.
Oh, no doubt.
That increased over the last several years and stuff like that. Because it used to be like high LGBTQ, right? A lot of pride and stuff down there, but it's kind of switched, or maybe it's just they're both there.
Because they'd be walking around naked down there.
There's a split in the road somewhere, like this side of the street, that side of the street, or something.
Yeah, it was 8 Mile.
I don't know what it like. I'm trying to just unwind and kind of shed all this stuff. I'm literally have my phone only to get there and get back because I'm flying. I'm not driving. So
you're flying.
I'm just leave the phone in the room and really try to just unplug and decompress and all this other stuff.
Absorb the sun and drink some alcohol.
But if I see someone in a red sash, I'm gonna have words with that motherfucker.
Yeah, just drown them.
What was it? What do you say in Tombstone? I see anybody wearing a red sash.
Mm-hmm.
Tell them hell's coming for him or something like that.
You tell them I'm coming. I'm bringing hell with me. Hell's coming with me. Yeah, man. That's my boy. All right. Well, I think that is all that I've got on the docket for today. EJ had to hop off unexpected. VP probably had a bad night of sleep. I know yesterday was his son's birthday, so they might be out doing brunch and stuff like that today. But So happy birthday to TJ, who is back in town from college after doing his first semester up in Illinois. And hopefully next week we'll be back to our normal. Actually, next week is Memorial Day weekend, so we'll see what happens there. We may be around, we may not. But if not, then we'll see you in 2 weeks for sure. And if so, we'll see you next week. Otherwise, we appreciate everybody tapping in today, listening live or afterwards. As always, follow us, comment, leave your feedback on our social media platform. The most used one today is going to be Instagram. Look for us, Castworthy_podcast. You can find the content anywhere. You can watch the video on YouTube or Spotify. You can listen to the audio on any platform that's available to you. We are on it. Castworthy Podcast, CSTWRTHY. Make that phone call, as VP always says. Tomorrow's not promised. Check on your people. Maintain your mental health. And until next week, we are out. We love you all. Peace.